It's not that they don't want to reach out. It's that their pride is still pretending it's stronger than their urge. They're fighting the urge to text you, but it's too strong now. That's the truth. And if no one else has told you this, let me be the first. Just because they're silent doesn't mean they've moved on. Just because you haven't heard from them doesn't mean they're over it. My friends, silence is not proof of indifference. It's often the very evidence of emotional chaos. You don't see it, but behind those unread messages, behind their fake calm, behind the smiles they post to their stories, there's a war. And the battlefield, it's their phone, every night, every morning. That message they want to send is typing and deleting on repeat. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in front of a massive dam, calm on the surface, no movement. But deep inside, water is pressing harder and harder. The pressure builds in silence. No warning. Until, boom, a crack, a leak, a collapse. That's them. That's the text they're holding back. It's not a lack of care. It's pressure. It's guilt. It's pride trying to stand taller than truth. But it can't anymore. And every second you stay silent, that pressure gets heavier. Let's break the lie we've been told, that if someone doesn't text you, they don't care. That if they really missed you, they'd have said something by now. But that's not always how it works. Sometimes the people who miss you the most are the ones who say the least. Not because they've forgotten, but because remembering you hurts. Because silence doesn't just live outside, it starts echoing inside them, and the longer they avoid it, the louder it screams. Seneca said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And that's what they're doing now, wasting time, fighting themselves, fighting what they feel. They want to send the text. They want to hear your voice again. They want to know if you're still there. But your silence, it's power now. It's the gatekeeper of your peace. And they know it. You used to make it easy. You were available. You replied. You checked in. You gave them a soft place to land, even when they disappeared without warning. But now you've gone still. And when someone's been fed off your emotional energy for so long, they notice the blackout, they feel the void, and they start reaching, quietly, mentally, emotionally, before they ever type a word. My friends, this is where the shift begins. You don't have to chase. You don't have to post quotes to prove you've moved on. Your silence already said everything, and trust me, they heard it. Whether it's been days, weeks, or even months, they feel the difference now. That urge to text you, it's becoming unbearable, not because they're healed, but because they lost the only person who ever truly saw them. And now, they want that comfort again. But the catch is, you're not the same anymore. You're not waiting, you're watching, you're rising. So let them wrestle with the urge. Let them drown in the silence they once gave you, because this time, when the message comes through, it won't be you who's desperate. It won't be you who's trying. It'll be them, and by then, your calm will be louder than any apology they can type. Write this in the comments right now. Silence is my power. Let them read it. Let them feel it. Let yourself believe it. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what comes next? It's the part where they break their silence, and you no longer need their words. Stay with me. Number 1, they don't text first because they're waiting for you to break first. It's not silence that breaks you. It's the story you tell yourself about why they're silent. You've been staring at your phone, haven't you? Wondering if maybe, just maybe, today's the day they finally crack. That the silence becomes too loud for them. That their pride shrinks just enough for them to text first. But nothing. Not a ping. Not a name lighting up your screen. And you start questioning everything. Did they ever care? Did they move on? Was it all in my head? My friend, let me pull back the curtain, because what's happening behind their silence isn't what you think. They're not strong, they're not detached, they're not better off, they're stuck, frozen, fighting themselves because they don't want to text you first, not because they don't want to talk, but because they're betting on your pattern. They're hoping history repeats itself, that just like last time and the time before that, you'll cave, you'll text, you'll fold, you'll say something kind, something sweet, something that lets them off the hook, because that's what you've always done, right? Imagine this. A game of emotional chicken. Two people facing each other on a narrow bridge, waiting to see who blinks, who swerves, who steps aside first. They're standing still, not out of strength, but because they know you're the one who usually moves. That's the game. Not a fair one, not a kind one, but it's the one they've learned to play. They're not waiting because they've healed. They're waiting because they assume you haven't. Let's be honest about something hard. You taught them you'd always be there. You trained them to expect your effort, your check-ins, your forgiveness, your emotional labor. You didn't mean to, but every time you reached out first, you whispered, "You don't have to try. I'll do it for both of us." And they listened, loud and clear. But that was the old you, the version who confused love with loyalty, the version who confused silence with rejection, the version who kept proving your worth to someone who already knew it and used it. Not anymore. Now you're choosing something different. Now you're choosing silence, not as a punishment, but as a mirror, a boundary, a form of self-respect so rare it stuns them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And if your thoughts are painted in desperation, in fear, in hope that they'll remember you, you'll drown in that dye. But if your thoughts are colored with strength, with clarity, with self-command, then even your silence becomes loud, commanding, unshakable. They're not reaching out because they're waiting to win. They want you to blink. They want the scoreboard to stay tilted in their favor. Because the second they message you first, the power flips, the roles reverse, and suddenly they're vulnerable. But they're not ready for that. They've been hiding behind silence like it's armor, not realizing that every second they stall, they're the ones cracking. You might be thinking, but what if they're really over it? What if my silence just makes me look bitter? What if I'm pushing them further away? Let me break this lie right now. If your silence pushes someone away, they were already walking. Your silence didn't start the distance. Their behavior did. You're not pushing them out. You're just refusing to chase them in anymore. Picture them scrolling through their phone at night. Your name is there, right there. They pause. Their thumb hovers. The words form in their mind. They picture your reaction. They feel the pull. But then they stop. They overthink. They wait. Because the longer they wait, the more they gamble that you'll text first. It's not indifference. It's hesitation dressed in ego. And every second they hesitate, your value rises in their mind, because now you're no longer easy access. You're not free validation. You're not just one message away. You're gone, and that haunts them. They replay old messages, reread old conversations. They see your last post and wonder who you're with, what you're doing, if someone else now has your attention, and the fear starts to spread, slowly, quietly, that maybe they waited too long, that maybe you're healing, that maybe they lost the one who actually cared. Let them sit in that fear, let it simmer, let it grow, because what you're doing right now, it's not cruel, it's clean, it's clarity, it's correction. You're rewiring the dynamic, you're setting a new standard, one where love isn't something you beg for, one where connection isn't bought with your pain, one where silence is no longer a weapon used against you, but a language you use to teach. Here's what they don't expect: that you'll stay silent, that you won't break, that the pattern they depended on is now shattered. And every day you don't text, don't explain, don't reach, They get closer to realizing it's not you who's lost. It's them. It's not you who's hurting in the same way. It's them. You've started moving in a direction they can't follow unless they change, unless they grow, unless they show up whole, not half-baked. But this is where your discipline is tested, because the urge to just check in is still there, right? The voice that says, maybe they're hurting too. That's your empathy. It's beautiful, but don't let it betray your growth. Let your love be real, but let your silence be wiser. Because silence isn't always about them, it's about finally hearing yourself. You're not being cold, you're being clear. You're not shutting the door, you're guarding it. Because now, only people who knock with effort get in. Only people who match your depth get access. You're no longer the one giving the keys to just anyone who knows your name. You're giving them to the ones who earn it. Write this in the comments right now. I won't break first. Say it. Mean it. Let it be your anchor in the storm of waiting, because what's coming next isn't your breakdown, it's their reckoning. Stay with me. Number 2, every day they don't text, the pressure builds. It's not the goodbye that haunts them, it's the silence that follows, and the weight they never expected to carry alone. Every day they don't text you, they're not forgetting you. They're drowning in the urge to reach out. But they keep choosing pride. They keep choosing delay. And that delay, it's not power, it's punishment. Not for you, but for them. Because here's what most people don't realize. Silence doesn't get easier with time. It gets heavier. It presses on the chest. It clouds the mind. It becomes a storm in the gut that no distraction can calm. They thought they could ride it out. But now it's riding them. At first, silence is strategy, a power move, a test. They think, if I wait long enough, they'll crack. They always do. But days pass, weeks crawl, and still, nothing. You don't fold, you don't reach, you don't move. And that's when the silence starts shifting from smugness to sickness. It starts whispering, what if they're really gone? What if you waited too long? What if they're done waiting for you to care? And once those questions enter their mind, they don't leave. They echo, and every unanswered question becomes a weight they carry into the next day. Imagine blowing air into a balloon. At first it's light, manageable, but with each breath, each ignored urge to text, you're adding pressure. The balloon gets tighter. The surface stretches thinner. It holds until it doesn't. That's the urge. That's what they're feeling now. Every day they don't reach out. They inflate their own emotional tension. And the pop? It's coming. Let's break the lie that people don't text you because they don't care. Wrong. People don't text you because they don't know how to face you. Because reaching out now means admitting they waited too long. It means facing the very silence they used as a shield. And pride hates that. Pride would rather suffer in silence than admit it broke something real. But here's the thing. They're not proud anymore. They're scared. They're playing it cool online, sure. They're posting their meals, their memes, their fake laughs. But when the screen turns black, when the notifications stop, it's your name that shows up in their thoughts. You used to be the comfort, the certainty, the emotional safety net. But now the roles have flipped, and that shift, it haunts them. Because they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know if you're waiting, or if you've walked away for good. And that not knowing is the real punishment. That's what breaks them. Because indifference doesn't leave echoes. Presence does. And your presence used to fill their day. Your check-ins, your kindness, your warmth. They thought it was just who you were. But now, they realize it was a gift. A gift they didn't value until it vanished. You might be wondering, but if the pressure is building, why haven't they texted yet? Because pressure paralyzes, fear freezes. They're not strong, they're stuck in overthinking. in shame, in the fear that your silence means they've lost their shot, and every day they hesitate. That fear grows teeth, it grows weight, and still they hold it, they carry it, until it cracks them open. And when they do reach out, because they will, it won't come from power. It'll come from collapse, from surrender, from the moment they realize the silence they used to control is now controlling them, that you're no longer orbiting around their timing, that you're no longer emotionally available on demand, and that scares them more than anything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." But they're not Stoic. They can't endure this silence forever, not when it's echoing their mistakes, not when it's replaying everything they didn't say, everything they didn't do. And now, the silence feels louder than your voice ever did. Let them feel it. Don't interrupt it, because this pressure, it's teaching them. It's unlearning every toxic pattern they got comfortable in, every breadcrumb they thought was enough, every delay they mistook for strength. You're not being cruel, you're being clear. You're letting life speak the truths your words never could. This is the shift they never saw coming, because they counted on your weakness. They thought your heart would betray your boundaries. But this time, your silence is the boundary, and they can't cross it with a half-hearted, "Hey." That won't work anymore, because what you used to answer from pain, you now ignore from power. Write this in the comments. They carry the silence now. Say it like a declaration. Say it like you've handed the weight back, because you're not holding space for someone who wouldn't hold you. And stay with me, because what comes next is the moment they pick up the phone and realize the hardest part of texting you is knowing you might not text back. Number 3. They keep checking your profile, but can't press send. The eyes don't lie. What they don't say in your messages, they scream in your views. They haven't texted you, but let's not pretend they're gone. Oh, they're watching, quietly, consistently, like a shadow that follows you around, but never dares to step into the light. They check your stories, scroll your feed, scan your captions for hidden meanings. They're reading between your lines like your life is a book they once threw away, and now regret not finishing. But still, no message. Why? Because hitting send would mean cracking the mask. It would mean breaking the silence they tried so hard to weaponize. It would mean admitting they care, and that's the one thing their ego hasn't given them permission to do yet. Let me tell you something that might sound strange. Silence is noisy for people who still care. It rattles the inside of their head. They watch your content like it's a window they no longer have the right to knock on. Every photo, every update, every little sign of life you give, it becomes their fix. Not to support you, not to reconnect, but to feel you without having to face you. Imagine this: a thief staring through a locked window at the home they used to live in. They know the warmth inside. They know the layout. They remember how it felt to be safe, welcome, seen. But now the door is closed, bolted, and they can only press their face against the glass and hope for a glimpse. That's what checking your profile is for them. A window into what they let go. And maybe right now you're tempted to post more. A little thirst trap, a subtle quote, a mysterious caption. You're wondering if you should give them a sign. Let them know you still feel it too. That maybe, just maybe, you're still open to the idea of them. But hear me, my friend, don't perform for people who couldn't handle your presence when it was real. Because they didn't leave because you were invisible. They left because you were too visible, too emotionally available, too raw, too honest. You didn't hide your love. You gave it boldly, and they got used to it, took it for granted. And now that it's gone, they can't press send because they don't know how to approach a version of you that finally chose themselves. This is the part they never expected. You're not angry. You're not chasing. You're just Still. And that stillness? It's louder than all your old messages combined. It makes you unpredictable. And unpredictable means they've lost the script. They don't know how you'll respond. Will you reply? Will you leave them on read? Will you even care? And that not knowing becomes their prison. They used to read you like a book. Now you're the novel with missing pages. You've shifted, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring correctly, for yourself. Here's where the lie breaks wide open. They didn't stop watching because they moved on. They keep watching because they haven't. They're addicted to the ghost of what they had with you. But they don't know how to bring it back without shattering the ego they've clung to like armor. Stoicism teaches us that external validation is noise, but internal peace is music. And while they scroll, hoping to find some trace of your weakness, some crack in your calm, you're not reacting. You're not posting to be seen. You're building something quieter, stronger, sacred, something they can't touch anymore. They think they're winning the silence game because they haven't messaged you. But here's the twist. They're already talking to you, just not with words. Their silence is communication. Their views are confessions. Their hesitation is guilt. They're holding their phone, your profile pulled up, and they can't do it. Can't break the wall they built. Because now, breaking the silence means confronting the damage they caused. And still, you wait, not for them, but for peace. You wait in your strength, in your groundedness, because you've realized you're no longer the one under emotional surveillance. They're the ones checking, rechecking, scrolling back to pictures you forgot you even posted, wondering if you're becoming someone new, wondering if someone else is holding your heart now. Let them wonder. Don't post for them. Don't write for them. Don't give them a wink disguised as a quote. You're not in the business of emotional breadcrumbs anymore. You're in the business of rebuilding a life that no longer needs external validation to feel full. Write this in the comments right now. I don't chase, I echo. Because that's what you are now. An echo in their silence, a vibration in their chest, a mirror they can't look away from. And every day they watch you without speaking, they hear the sound of what they lost a little louder. Stay with me. Because what's coming next? It's the part where they finally realize you weren't just the person who cared. You were the piece they never learned how to keep. Number 4, their ego is in the way, but their soul is screaming. The ego whispers, stay silent, you're still in control, but the soul screams, say something before it's too late. They want to text you, they want to break the silence, but right now there's a war going on inside them. One part of them, the part that still believes love is a power game, is holding the phone and refusing to move. That's their ego. But the other part, the part that remembers how it felt to be seen, to be understood, to be loved without conditions. That part is breaking inside. That's their soul, and that's the part that's screaming louder by the day. Let's make one thing clear. They're not texting you because they're strong. They're not silent because they're over it. They're stuck between two forces tearing them in opposite directions. Their ego wants control. Their soul wants connection. And guess which part of them you used to speak to? Their soul. But back then, they weren't listening. Not fully, not with the depth you offered. See, the ego plays games. It waits, it watches, it calculates. It says, don't text first. You'll look weak. You'll lose leverage. It tells them silence is power. That emotional distance is a flex, that the one who cares less wins. But my friend, let me tell you, nobody really wins when they ignore someone they care about. They just lose quietly. Imagine two wolves inside them. One is the ego, snarling, proud, defensive, terrified of losing face. The other is the soul, soft, honest, broken, desperate for healing. The one that wins is the one they feed. And for a long time, they fed the wrong one. They ignored the messages their soul tried to send, that you were different, that you cared, that you were safe. They tuned it out, because their ego told them it was safer to run than to receive. But here's the part they didn't see coming. The silence that was once their protection has turned into their prison. It's not keeping them safe anymore. It's locking them in with their guilt, their fear, their memories of you that won't stop showing up uninvited. And the ego, it's quiet now, not gone, just outmatched. Because when the soul suffers, it doesn't play fair. It screams in their sleep. It shows up in their dreams. It speaks through songs, smells, strangers. It hijacks their peace, and eventually it cracks the pride. You're not the one chasing anymore, and that silence, it's revealing their cracks. Slowly, loudly, they look at your name and feel the weight of everything they didn't say. Every time they ignored your vulnerability, every moment you gave grace, and they gave games. And now, when they want to reach for you, they can't. Not because you're unreachable, but because they're not ready to face what reaching out would mean. It would mean admitting they messed up, that they misread your kindness as weakness, that they had something real and didn't know how to hold it. That's what their soul knows. But their ego, it's still fighting, still whispering, they'll text first. Just wait. But you haven't, and you won't. Because you've stepped into a version of yourself that no longer feeds anyone's illusions, not even your own. You've stopped needing closure from conversations that never respected your voice. You've stopped performing for people who didn't clap when your soul was on display. You've stopped giving passes to people who only showed up when it was convenient. That version of you, gone, buried, reborn. And here's what they fear now, that your silence isn't a phase, it's your new language. That you're not playing hard to get, you've actually gotten hard to reach. Not physically, emotionally, spiritually. You're not waiting on a message, you're watching for transformation. And unless they evolve, unless they quiet the ego and answer the soul, they'll lose you for good. You may wonder, but what if they don't ever reach out? What if they keep choosing ego? That's a valid fear, but here's the truth. They might. And if they do, it won't be your loss. It'll be their soul's silence they'll have to live with, because nothing haunts a person like the message they never sent to the one who would have understood. Stoicism teaches us, he who angers you conquers you. So don't let their delay disturb your peace. Don't let their silence rattle your center. Don't let their ego bait yours. Because the real power, it's in staying still while they shake. It's in remaining calm while their soul scrambles for relief. They're not okay, not deep down. You don't miss someone like you without feeling it in your bones. You were real, you were rare, you were ready. And now your absence is a mirror they can't walk past, not without hearing the scream of the part of them that always knew. They just didn't know how to answer it. Write this in the comments right now. Their ego waits. Their soul breaks. Say it like truth. Say it like power. Say it like someone who no longer lowers their energy to fit inside someone else's war. And stay with me, because what's coming next? It's the moment their pride finally crumbles under the weight of what they could have had. But now, fear they've lost forever. Number 5. The night is when they miss you most. It's always the silence after dark that tells the loudest truth. They can fake it in daylight. All day long they move through routines, laugh on cue, and scroll endlessly to keep their mind busy. They post like they've let go, like they've moved on, like they're unshaken. But the truth? The truth waits for the dark, because when the noise fades and the world slows down, when there's no more pretending to do, that's when your absence steps in, heavy, loud, familiar. The night isn't their enemy, it's their mirror. And in that mirror, they don't see confidence. They see what they lost. At 2 a.m., they're not scrolling for entertainment. They're searching for signs, searching for you, not in texts, not in calls, but in memories, because that's the only place they can feel you now. In the space where your messages used to arrive, in the silence where your voice used to soften their chaos. That's where they feel the ache, not as a sharp stab, but as a slow pull in their chest, a weight that wasn't there during the day, but always finds them at night. Picture them lying in bed, screen dim, thumb hovering over your name. They want to send something, anything, a simple hey, a subtle breadcrumb, but they can't. Not because they don't want to, but because pride doesn't allow vulnerability. And yet, their soul, it's wide open now, desperate, whispering that this silence is no longer strength, it's suffering, but still, no message, just the same cycle, wanting to speak, refusing to move. They don't realize that they're not protecting their dignity, they're burying it. Every night they stay silent, they lose another chance to reconnect. They let the clock eat up their courage. They let fear sit on their chest until it crushes the urge to be real. And while they hesitate, while they wait for you to do what you've always done, reach out. You're not doing it this time, and that changes everything. You used to check in late at night, send love without being asked, be the calm voice that grounded them in the middle of their storms. But now, that calm has returned home. To you. You no longer hand out peace like candy to people who never offer it back. And they feel that withdrawal. It's not just silence to them now, it's punishment, it's consequence, it's reflection, and reflection in the dark. That's the kind that sticks. You might be wondering if they feel your absence the way you once felt theirs, and the answer is yes. But it doesn't hit them in the places you expected. It doesn't happen while they're out pretending to be fine. It hits in the silence between songs, in the pause before they fall asleep, in the moment they reach for their phone and your name stares back. Unopened, unmessaged, unavailable. And they realize it's not because you're mad, it's because you're gone. Seneca once said, "Night brings our troubles to the surface," and that's exactly what's happening. The things they buried when the sun was up are now crawling back into their thoughts. Guilt, regret, questions, and that question haunts them the most. What if you're done waiting? They remember your warmth, your patience, your emotional availability, and they thought it was permanent. They thought it would always be there, waiting. But what they didn't understand is that silence has an expiration date, and once your spirit reached it, you weren't angry. You were finished. You didn't announce your detachment, you simply stopped, and now every minute of their night feels like a punishment they sentenced themselves to. You might still miss them. That's okay. You're not made of stone. But be honest with yourself. You don't miss their chaos. You miss how deeply you loved, how fully you showed up, how freely you gave. But now you know that love given to the wrong person is like pouring water into a broken vase. It doesn't matter how much you give, nothing holds. And silence. Silence is the seal on that truth. So when they miss you tonight, and they will, let them sit with it. Let them miss your good morning texts, your random late-night jokes, your soft reminders that someone out there really cared. Let them lie in the bed you used to fill with warmth from miles away. Let them scroll through memories and realize the best version of you is now unavailable, not because you're punishing them, but because you finally chose yourself. Write this in the comments right now. Let them miss me in the dark. Let the world hear it. Let your soul rise from every night you stayed up wondering if they'd ever feel what you felt. This is your moment. This is your shift. And stay with me, because what's coming next isn't just missing. It's the realization that their silence cost them everything they thought would always be theirs. Number 6. They thought you'd wait forever, but now you're gone. They always think you'll wait, until the silence outlasts their arrogance. They thought you'd always be there, always available, always just one message away. They didn't think twice about the timing, the inconsistency, the emotional breadcrumbs they kept tossing your way. Because in their mind, you were permanent, predictable, patient to a fault. They knew you had a soft heart, and they assumed it came with an open-door policy. Come and go as they please, hurt and return, disappear and reappear. And every time you let them back in, you reinforced the story they told themselves, that you'll wait forever. But something happened they didn't prepare for. You stopped waiting. You didn't announce it. You didn't slam the door. You didn't type out some angry monologue or deliver a dramatic exit. No, you just went quiet, slowly, cleanly, and the silence that followed. It wasn't empty. It was final. It wasn't passive. It was powerful. Because the version of you that waited, begged, hoped, and hurt, that version is gone, and in its place is someone they no longer recognize. Someone who doesn't look back. At first, they didn't notice. They assumed it was just another pause, just another moment before you'd circle back like you always did. They confused your patience with passivity, your kindness with weakness. They thought your silence was temporary, but the days kept passing, and you didn't reach. You didn't explain. You didn't send the just checking in text. And suddenly, their confidence started to crack. That's when the panic set in. You see, people don't fear losing someone until they feel the distance become real, until they feel the shift in energy, the way your soul no longer bends in their direction. They don't notice the bridge is burning until they try to cross it and find it's nothing but ashes. They thought the connection was frozen in time, that no matter how long they disappeared, they could always pick back up where they left off. But now they're realizing time didn't stop for you. It freed you. And here's the brutal truth. They didn't value you because they didn't believe they could lose you. That's the disease of comfort. It blinds people, makes them lazy, makes them take for granted the very thing they pray for in others. They got used to the sound of your voice, the consistency of your effort, the way you loved without keeping score. And now that it's gone, they're not just missing you, they're missing the version of themselves that only existed in your presence, the softer side, the one that felt safe, the one that felt seen. You were a home they thought would never move. But now, that home has relocated, and they're standing in the wreckage, shocked that you no longer live there. You might be thinking, but they never even apologized. How could they care? My friend, never confuse silence for absence of feeling. Some people care deeply, but their ego doesn't let them show it until it's too late. And others, they realize what they lost, not in moments of joy, but in moments of need. They'll go to reach for you, and you won't be there. They'll feel the urge to text and stop themselves because they don't know how to approach the version of you that finally stopped waiting. You've become unpredictable, unavailable, and that shakes them. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control, and you've done exactly that. You stopped trying to control how they see you, how they respond, whether or not they show up. You stopped explaining your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped offering your energy to people who treated your love like a background song, only realizing how beautiful it was once it stopped playing. Now, they're sitting in the silence they created, staring at the door they thought would never close, realizing it's not just locked, it's gone. And you're not angry, you're not bitter, you're just done. Not emotionally frozen, but emotionally evolved. You've replaced the waiting with rebuilding. You've filled the silence with growth. You've taken all the love you were giving them and turned it inward, and that's what hits them hardest. Not that you're gone, but that you're okay without them, that you're laughing without faking it, that your glow is real, that you're no longer checking for their name, that they no longer have access to you, not because you blocked them, but because you outgrew the version of yourself that clung to someone who couldn't meet you halfway. Write this in the comments right now. I no longer wait. Say it like a closing chapter. Say it like a vow. Say it like someone who finally realized that love isn't proven by who holds on the longest, but by who honors themselves first. And stay with me, because what comes next is the moment they finally text you, only to discover you've stopped looking for the message, because your silence already said everything they needed to hear.